Well, happy day to you. I am Jen Yates, your lock on Jyneration Nation on LRS102.com. And I'm always pumped because I always have a great studio guest with me. Today I have Mr. Rick DeBow. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing real good. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I've heard a lot about you throughout the years here in Louisville, Kentucky. I hear you're a fantastic musician and an artist yourself. So I want to know all about you today. It's all about Rick DeBow today.
Okay.
Welcome to LRS, by the way. I was just telling you, LRS has been around since 1964 here in Louisville, Kentucky, primarily spinning rock and roll music. And I don't know, have you ever been to this building before?
No. No, I
Okay,
have not.
this is an old theater. Back in the day, according to Marvin Maxwell, it used to be like a palace in its day, and it's all dilapidated upstairs. But people like Pink Floyd and the Allman Brothers played here back in the day and whatnot. So it's a pretty historic building as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Rick, I want to start by asking you just a few questions to let our listeners know about your music career. How did you get your start in music?
My start in music started with my mom. My mom was singing church, and my dad played trombone. Matter of fact, my first gig was with my dad. My dad used to, they'd go to Campbellsville, I think it was.
Oh, that's
and Newcastle. They played the little towns, and they'd have little festivals, and they'd march, from one end of the town to the other.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to follow along in the back. I had my white shirt and patent leather shoes with the black pants. And all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was inspired that way, and from my mom singing in church. She's pretty well known at Greater Salem Baptist Church. It's down on, it's still there on 10th and Chestnut.
Cool.
And she sung there, and I was really inspired by my mom.
Yeah.
And we had one of the, the old cheese pianos with the.
Yeah.
We had one of them. Half the notes worked, and I plunked on it for a little while, banged on it a little while, and along with my brother, and that's just how we got started.
Wow, that's super cool. I'm from down around Campbellsville, Kentucky.
Oh, are you?
I went to college in Campbellsville.
Oh, okay.
Actually worked at a radio station down there called the Big Dog.
Did you?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Do you know who Greg Martin is?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
He's the lead guitarist for the Kentucky Headhunters.
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah. He had a blues radio show, and he used to, it's called the Lowdown Hoedown, and I used to I'd be his board op for that show down in Campbellsville, yeah. And I was there right before I moved to Louisville. So, very cool. I'm probably very familiar with all that stuff right there.
Yeah. They used to have those little festivals,
Yeah, I love the little festivals. Those are fun gigs to play, yeah. So you started, with your mom singing in church. It always goes back to church, I've found, almost always in music.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the best players come out of the church.
Yeah. It inspired me a lot coming out of church. That was probably my basic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you grew up doing that. Did you study music in school or anything like that?
I studied music some, starting with Mill High School, and I went to U of L for a little while. And I went to Washington State for a little while, and Everett University for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really got into reading music, but I wrote quite a few little songs and.
Yeah.
But I went to U of L for a little while also.
How was that going to U of L? I think that would be an interesting thing.
Well, I'll tell you something funny, okay?
Sure.
I had this, I don't want to mention any names, but I had this instructor, and he always thought, I was inspired by Lou Donson. William Donson was my music teacher at Parkland Junior High.
Yeah.
And he told me that I could play and I'd probably be something, and he always inspired me. So I went to U of L for a little while, and I had this instructor, and this instructor, it was. Are you familiar with the circle of music? They have you in a circle and everybody's improvising.
Yeah.
They point you out, and
then you go, and then you just play something.
Yeah. So
yeah.
That's what I was better at anyway.
Yeah.
Just
the improv stuff.
Yeah. And he'd point me out, and I'd play. Then he'd go around a circle. Then he'd come back and point me out again. Mm-hmm. And then he would play too. And I kind of noticed some familiar licks,
Yeah.
So he was stealing licks from me.
What instrument were you playing?
I'm not being conceited. Saxophone.
Saxophone, cool.
Yeah, and he kept pointing me out,
Yeah.
Then I ended up quitting because I said, I'm not here to teach you,
I love that.
So,
You're still in my licks, man.
Yeah, and I said it straight up.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I love it.
It was funny.
Yeah.
But and we had a good laugh at it. We're still friends.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
Stuff like that.
Well, that's awesome. Now, I hear that you've done a lot of really cool things in your day in music, right? How long have you been playing saxophone?
Well, I tell you, I've been playing. God, I'm 66 now, and I've been playing since I was about maybe 10. I remember staying at my auntie's house, my dad's sister, and they used to get drunk.
Yeah.
So I'd wait till they get drunk. All around that area, like Muhammad Ali used to be Walnut Street. So all the old Walnut Street and 12th Street nightclubs, little nightclubs were there, and they'd have national acts. And so I would go to my auntie's house. I knew they'd get drunk. Mm-hmm. And I had my white shirt, my black pants, patent leather shoes. That was my band outfit.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And I had my magic mark also. That's to draw the mustache up.
Oh, I love that. You drew on a mustache.
I drew a mustache on.
I love that.
And I really was serious because I thought that I was fooling somebody. You know? Going to back of the club, I went. It was the Diamond Horseshoe. I remember.
Wait, you did that to make yourself look older, so you could get in the club?
So I could get in.
I love that. That's a great story.
With a saxophone, I had 3 notes working, and it was funny.
Awesome.
But I'd go through this horrible alley,
Yeah.
Climb out the window after, make sure they were all knocked out and everything. My uncle and auntie. I sneak out and go through this horrible alley with rats and cats jumping out on you.
Yeah.
It was a terrible fear. And I made it to 12th Street, and then I go to the back door of the Diamond Horseshoe, and I knock on, and the guys would laugh. But I never was offended. Laugh all you want,
Yeah.
Here's a little grown man standing here wanting to get in the club and see West Montgomery, and
Heck yeah, you wanted to check out the clubs.
Oh my God, it was all the people.
acts.
Yeah, they have national acts, and I'd make it it took me a long time to get my nerve up because I would sit by the back door and listen to them.
Yeah.
Then I said, I got to get in there some kind of way, I'm not thinking 10 years old, it's over with, kid,
Yeah. So you were only 10.
Yeah. And I draw the mustache on.
That's hilarious.
And have my saxophone, and they let me in.
Yeah.
But they keep me behind this little door. It was right by the stage,
Yeah.
And they promised me that they're going to let me play. But they always would wake me up and say, "You missed your chance,"
That's hilarious.
It took a long time for me to realize that I was just too young.
Yeah, 10 years old, drawing on a fake mustache,
and with a saxophone.
Yeah, with the saxophone with 3 notes working.
Yeah, and get to see West Montgomery and Kenny Burrell and all those guys.
Yeah,
just bring tears to my eyes. But the love for it was just. I remember that being the highlight of my life, getting to step at my auntie's house because I know I was going to go to the back of one of those nightclubs and try to get in.
Yeah. So eventually, did you ever get in?
No.
Never.
No.
But you tried hard, it sounds like.
I tried hard. I wanted to. But I did get a chance to see a bunch of national acts that I probably never would have seen. I met them, too. Talked to a couple
cool.
of them.
Yeah, well, if you're in the back alley, that's where all the musicians usually hang.
Well, at least on the break time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We're always trying to run from people, because people, I know when you're playing, people don't understand. They always want some of your attention, and you want to talk to them because they're the reason, you're getting paid, basically, is because you're bringing them in.
I never, sometimes, I, most of the time, pretty much my whole career, I go in the back. I wouldn't come out and meet people very much.
Yeah. Are you one of those artists that's kind of reclusive?
I don't know, kind of. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've played with a lot of artists too. When you see them on stage, you think they've just got this huge personality, and they must be so cool to hang with. And then when they're off stage, they don't want to be around people at all. They're just very quiet and want to go home and do their thing. So,
Or either meditate and concentrate on your next move. What you got to do next.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's time for yourself. For me, on my breaks, I'm still like that most of the time.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I want to. It's good. It's two-sided because it's good to be social with some of the people that some of the people, I say fans, the people that like you,
right?
And I think it's selfish not to give them a chance to get to meet you, especially if they show desire to want to.
Yeah, of
You know what I
course,
mean?
absolutely.
I would go out, hey, everybody, I'm Rick DeBow, but somebody say, hey, can I talk to you for a minute or something? And I always give somebody a time.
Yeah, of course. Just being a good artist. I think.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people on the show that used to work in like A&R rep and stuff like that. As for big companies or whatever, the record companies.
Yeah.
And they were always talking about they would always make their artists stay around and meet all the people and shake all the hands and sign all their autographs and do what they had to do because they're the reason that you get to get booked in places. A lot of times you got a fan base there,
and you never know who you meet.
True, yeah. We broadcast live from East Broadway, and there's always sirens and stuff going through here. In fact, every now and a blue moon, we'll get a couple people looking in the window and waving at us and doing
Is that right?
Somebody yesterday, or day before yesterday, when Max Maxwell was here, came up and did the big C-A-R-D.
Is that right? Right at the window?
Right in the window, man, right to us. I've had him walk up in here and ask for jobs and such.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you just never know what's going to
it's another thing. Y'all got a... I bet you get a lot of sirens because you got the hospital up there, and then you got the ambulance service right here.
Yeah, we do get. I at least get one a day.
Is that right?
I do. Yeah. So saxophone, man, what a great instrument. What were you inspired by anybody other than your parents? Did you see anybody like playing saxophone when you were younger that really made you want to continue playing sax?
Oh yeah, a bunch.
I got to play with a very famous sax player once in Nashville, Bobby Keys of the Rolling Stones.
Is that right?
Yeah, and he is also on Mad Dogs and Englishmen by Joe Cocker. He had recorded with everybody from Lennon to Ronnie Wood, and later on did a bunch of, he just, man, what a cool dude. He passed away not too long ago, so rest in peace, Mr. Bobby Keys. But he's the sax player on Brown Sugar and all their big hits. Yeah. The Letter. He's on Joe Cocker's The Letter and all that. Okay. And all those Stones tracks.
There were a few musicians, wasn't a bunch of saxophone players.
Yeah.
The main one, and I forgot his name. He played saxophone in my church.
Okay, cool.
And I remember his jaws blowing up real big, and I just watched him play a lot,
Yeah.
And him and there were other people like Boogie Martin, the other real nice saxophone players around. Not a bunch.
Yeah.
And I always loved the way they sounded. See, I started out on guitar.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you how I really got started on saxophone. Really, actually, was at Parkland Junior High School, and that's what it's called Lyman T. Johnson now.
Yeah.
And Lyman T. Johnson was my social study teacher.
I love that.
And Mr. William Downson was Lou Downson, who's a world-known trumpet player.
Yeah.
He was the music teacher there.
Oh, cool.
And I said, when I got in junior high school, I said I wanted to. I think I tried to join the band, but I didn't really. I played guitar, but they didn't have saxophone. They didn't offer saxophone.
Yeah.
And it says the guy gets on stage and he says, "I need 6 trumpet players."
Yeah.
Everybody hold your hand up. I held my hand up.
Yeah.
Then my arm got tired because they didn't pick me for that one. And I held my hand up for every instrument, and I finally got chose to play saxophone.
Wow.
And,
interesting.
When I started playing, which is nobody probably could imagine this, but I played saxophone backwards.
Now, how does that work?
Well, you reach around.
Left-handed.
I'm left-handed.
I was thinking upside down blowing from their hole. I was like, how in the world does that work?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a mess sometimes. My imagination goes a little crazy.
Oh, my
so
God.
you're saying backwards left-handed.
Left hand over the right hand.
Yeah.
And then when I got to junior high, I found out that the proper way to play. And I was inspired by him quite a bit, He always encouraged me. I saw him at a shoe store not too long ago. I was he had his wife buying some shoes, and he recognized me, and we spoke and embraced and talked for a while, and I thanked him for making me feel like somebody. You know what I mean? That's important. That's very important.
Yeah, I'm a music teacher myself, so I'm always a student of music first,
see how inspired
teacher
they
second.
Are,
Yeah, these kids, like I was telling you, some of my private students are in the Louisville Leopards and River City Drum Corps, and
Oh, is that right? Some of those guys, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and you know, it's just so fun to give them the tools and then just to encourage them and then watch them fly. You know,
this ought to be on you because
Oh, yeah?
you are a very talented woman. It's a rarity.
Thank you. I
Believe
appreciate
me,
that.
it's not too many women that I've met. That have done some of the things that you do, and your inspiration and your love for music is impressive to me.
Well, you know what? I am never married, no kids, and I've always pursued my love of music. You know what I mean? And it just turned out that way. You know, I didn't mean for it to be that way. It just my life turned out that way.
I think it's a gift from God. I think
it is a gift from God.
You were chosen to do what you do,
yes,
and stick to it. You know, and and whatever comes out of it, you know, I'll tell any of the young musicians, you know, or in anything, and you really believe in it. It started real early with me. It's not like that with everybody, but it's a real blessing to have that love of music as a young person.
Yes,
and it's just like raising a puppy. You know, it goes from a puppy all the way up to a dog, and all the way, you know, and that's the best way to be about it. And I think you and I are both gifted to have had the love of music.
Absolutely.
I
thank God
age.
every day for that because I was granted a gift. And I always say that I didn't pick music, it picked me. My dad was a drummer, you know, so as soon as I was in the womb, my mom was going to his gigs, you know, carrying me around. And I remember my first memory, I actually wrote about this because I really want to write a book. That's like a bucket list thing of mine. I've been working on it for a long time.
I see.
I wrote my first memory of music ever that I can remember as a kid. And it's, you know, in a dark, smoky room, and there's a band in the next room. My dad was in the band, and it's a bunch of us kids were like I remember being so small that I could just see the top of the couch. So I must have been very young. But I remember them playing some Eagles or something like that. And you know, it was the kids weren't allowed to come in to where the adults were in the next room, but it sounded like a good party.
And the music made its way up under the door, didn't it?
Yeah, and I don't remember a lot of memories from young, but I remember the songs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The songs
too.
stuck with me.
Me too.
Yeah. So my first memory ever is of music, and I don't have any memories at all without a drum set around me because I was put on one when I was very young. You know, my dad handed me sticks when I was like 3. And I never stopped. I have never taken a break. I've always done multiple projects.
It's been called drums have always mostly been called like a man's instrument.
Yes,
you know? Just like you know, now you play drums.
Yeah,
I play flute. Flute was considered a woman's instrument.
I know. That's interesting. I love a flute. By the way.
Well, thank you. But I mean, it goes to show you, you know, whatever instrument it is there's no prejudice. I mean, if it grabs you, it grabs you.
Yeah.
And I think it's rare for drums to grab a woman, and for her dad. For your dad to put you to hand you sticks and not say, "Hey, look, this is a man's instrument." You know,
no,
a
not
woman
at all.
can play drums. Here's the sticks, and you did that.
Yeah, my dad was a big marching band guy, and he was touring around Kentucky by the time he was like 10 with all these like bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And I come from my grandmother on the Yates' side. She was very musical. She's the one who gifted us all the gift of music because she was a pianist. She played in church, and she also played banjo and dulcimer.
Oh, wow.
And I have a lot of bluegrass and gospel background. And obviously I'm from a small town, so I had to learn to play country, that old school country stuff. But my dad was like the lone rock and roller of the bunch. So, you know, he was putting me on a kit, making me listening to Hendrix and Cream and all that old school Chuck Berry, you know, all the old school great rock and rollers. Sam and Dave was always one of my favorites. Still one of my favorite vinyl records to this day.
Is that right?
If I want to get in a good mood, I either put on Sam and Dave or Dolly Parton. For some reason, both of those artists just make me happy.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Music is medicine myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anytime you're down, if you have a song that just makes you happy, you put it on, it just completely changes your mindset.
That's true.
Yeah, and I love that about music. There's so much about music that's just so amazing, you know. But talking about the drums being a more masculine instrument, there's a documentary film coming out next month. I was telling you that I'm in. And there's a lot of famous drummers in that, male and female. And the whole thing is about that exact that exact thing. They're questioning, is there a difference in the genders when you play percussion?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah. I think
it's
that's
the individual.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And also in this book here that I showed you, they trace back drums to prehistoric times, and it was mostly considered a feminine instrument at first for many years. Yes, because the natives thought that it could help with childbirth and all this interesting stuff. So women would gather around in circles and play drums together.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And then somewhere along the way, women were banned from playing by a church, believe it or not, in the Dark Ages. And then pretty much from that time period on until current, it's been considered a masculine instrument, right? And I can see why, because drums are really physical. I've beaten my body up many times, pushing myself to limits I probably shouldn't have pushed myself to.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
But I've heard some women drummers who just cook it right on out.
Oh, there's some amazing
You close your
ones.
eyes, you don't know if it's a man or a woman. I mean, all you know, you're hearing that beat come out of it.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheila E. I told you I got to meet her last year.
Yeah, well, that's good you got to meet her.
Yeah, man. So she was my idol growing up, because when I was growing up, I only had Karen Carpenter and her, and then later on Vicki Randall, who I ended up getting to play with later on, like about 5 years ago. Vicki Randall was the first female on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and she played conga, and she was in the house band. And I just remember like watching her and just being like, holy crap. And then skip to, in my late 30s, I actually got to be in a band with her. Yeah, it was really super awesome. And she's still playing. She was on tour with Mavis Staples singing backup.
Oh, is that right?
This chick plays everything. I mean, she's an awesome drummer, but she literally plays every instrument, keys, guitars, sings, does everything very well.
It's interesting to meet somebody that you've only seen on pictures or in magazines, and you actually get to meet them.
I know.
I was at Central Park, and I had just got this new soprano sax, right? Yeah. And Lonnie Liston was going to be like a live jazz right there at Central Park. Yeah. And I just said, oh my God, I made it in my mind. I said, I'm going to play for me. What I did was I took my horn out. Yeah. And I waited in backstage, and they said, ladies and gentlemen, Lonnie Liston. And I just went up with him.
How old were you?
Well, I guess that hadn't been about maybe 15 years ago.
Okay, I was going to say, did you have the drawn-up mustache?
No, I hadn't thrown away the magic marker.
Yeah, I love that.
But I went up with him and played 3 songs before he realized I wasn't in the band.
That's hilarious. That's amazing. I love you for that story, man. You've got to have some cojones to do that.
I know. Yeah. But, I just acted naturally, and I had tears in my eyes. I couldn't believe I did. Yeah. I'm on stage with Lonnie Liston Smith,
Yeah. So jazz is a big influence of yours, right? Because you've done some jazz records.
Jazz and not only jazz. Yeah. But music, period. I have a love for all music, maybe except for opera or something. Yeah. Stuff like that. But I listen to Wacky and all those stations. We didn't have a bunch of stations coming up anyway. What's his name? Wolfman Jack.
Oh yeah, he's one of my idols, man. Yeah, you'll love this. Can I tell you a quick story about Wolfman Jack? Of course, I grew up and I started in radio when I was 16. I'm 40 now, so it's like I've been in it for a hot minute. Minus my years where I left to pursue music. But Wolfman Jack was always, my parents always reminded me of Wolfman Jack, and would tell me stories about him. Well, later on, I did a record with this lady, Beverly McClellan, who was in the blues scene, and she passed away last October. Rest in peace, Bev. And we did a record together called Hillbilly Swagger that I produced. Okay. And when she passed, she had a big record collection. Somehow, she had gotten her hands on Wolfman Jack's, some of his personal vinyl collection for promotional use only, for radio. It was like things that the Stones had sent him, to play on the radio only. You're not supposed to sell those. The radio stations get them. So she left a lot of those to me. And now I have, yes, I do. Now I have some of Wolfman Jack's personal vinyl collection, autographed to him from people like the Rolling Stones, and it says for promotional radio use only. So I'm sure they're worth a ton.
You
I
took
would
the words
think.
out of my mouth. They got to be. That's history.
Yeah, I'm hanging on to them for dear life.
It'll come out sooner or later.
Yeah, in fact, I can bring them down here because we can spin vinyl here. So
Maybe you should. do
yeah,
that.
I plan on it. Yeah, yeah. How cool is that though? You gotta
really
love
cool because those are originals.
Yeah, exactly. And there's probably, that was probably the only copy too,
There's a bunch
possibly.
of them?
Yeah, it seemed like, I can't remember how many she had, but I probably got like 20 to 30, 40, somewhere in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're all big records that,
Yeah. Before their time.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I know Exile on Main Street's one of them, the big Stones, Rolling Stones collection,
that's
yeah.
something to have.
Can't remember who the other ones were, but they were all classics.
Yeah.
Classic rock, basically. Yeah, so Wolfman Jack, huge idol. I'm a huge fan of his.
He influenced me. He played a lot of variety of music, and I listened to him. And there wasn't very many other stations to listen to, but
yeah,
I listened to them. And I didn't have a favorite. I just loved all the music because one after another, female, or male.
Yeah, man, there were so many. You lived through what I consider the most magical time period of music. You know what I mean?
I think so. I was telling some people at the '60s. It probably won't be any more people like us in the way of life because I remember in my alley the junk man come through, get all the bicycles, the old bicycles and mattresses and stuff.
Yeah.
And he had a horse pulling the wagon.
Yeah.
So, and I remember shooting the horse with the slingshot and all that. and
I love that.
And then we moved to the times of I remember when they retired all the locomotives, in the back of L&N building.
Yeah.
And then diesels came, and I remember not having color TV.
Yeah.
And then cell phones, and you could drink after somebody, wouldn't get a disease.
Right.
And we didn't, a lot of stuff we didn't have.
Yeah.
And no other age will witness, from diesel, from horse to a diesel engine.
Yeah.
And actually witness that, and I think we'll be the last people who will, the younger people will only read about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the older people, it hadn't gotten there yet. So I don't know what age you would call that, but it's in the middle of our young and our old. I think that, and I'm blessed to be in that category. 66.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, obviously I was not born until the 70s, but I have a fond love for the musical styles back then.
I bet you got a taste of it, and plus your people pass stuff down to you kind of as though you almost were there. It depends on how detailed they go into telling you things.
Yeah,
and I'm sure your dad was.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty informative.
And I love that my dad and my mom, both of them, they never censored anything I listened to music-wise, which was awesome because I literally got a very eclectic, across the board. It was everything from classical to jazz and then all the way up to like Grateful Dead type stuff, that old, all that old classic rock and roll. Obviously, I was a huge rocker.
That's what makes you the great person that you are.
Thank you.
Believe me.
I appreciate that, yeah. I think, to be a great musician, you've got to be pretty diverse.
You do. Yes, you do.
If you want to make it in music, you've got to hustle, and you've got to do a lot of things. I do a lot of things, from teaching to doing theater, orchestra stuff when I get hired for it, bands on the side, 2 or 3 different projects of every style.
And just stay busy musically.
Yeah. And I always stay busy in blues, it seems like.
Is that right?
They love to hire me for blues because I've played a lot of blues in my day. Yeah.
Speaking of a hustle, I had when I got back off the road, a lot of nightclubs have closed, and not a lot of places to play. Mm-hmm. And then my band got all spread out, because if you can't keep a band together if you ain't got steady work,
Oh, of course
so
not.
some of my guys, like Billy Ross, he's at Jerry Green's now.
Yeah.
And the guys, and most all of them are playing for churches and stuff now, And getting off the road and coming here, not having very many places to work, what I started doing was, and I had this manager. I still got this friend of mine that's like an acting manager.
Yeah.
His name is Ed Mitchell, a real good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he said, "Man, you ought to go out and play on the street or something."
Yeah.
People like that. I'm saying, "Man, I ain't going out on the street play on no corner."
Yeah.
And it was pride. But don't you know? I found out, and then I found out the real name of those people are buskers.
Yeah, buskers. Yeah.
Well, I go on corners and make pretty good money and meet all kinds of people. Mm-hmm. I had been doing that, and this lady that managed me that does kind of agency for me. Nancy Harris Agency.
I love Nancy Harris.
And is she something else?
I love that woman. Yes.
Yeah,
Shout out Nancy. We love her.
Yeah. Shout out to Nancy.
I took some drum lessons from Sam.
Did you?
Before
Did you know
passed,
Sam? I knew
yeah.
Sam too.
Yeah, and she's the one who's hired me for some of the orchestra actors theater work.
That's great.
Yeah.
She's a good woman.
I love her.
And she told me about this buskers program. I don't know if you know about it. The city will pay you $100, and you can use their tip bucket. You keep your tips, and they'll pay you $100.
Who knew?
And I didn't know anything about it until Nancy told me, and I got chose to do mine. My first one is well, see, what's the date? What's the date of today?
Today's what, 21st?
It's the 26th at 4th and Liberty. I'll be doing my little buskers thing there.
Cool. Today's the 22nd. Sorry.
Okay, it'll be the 26th, and I'm gonna do my first legal buskers thing. You know
Okay. I didn't know. Is it illegal to busk? Or,
I was going to ask you that, but I've been doing it. And I've never been.
Now I know some people that'll go do it outside the Yum Center when the concerts are letting out. Is that you? Okay.
Oh gosh, yes. And you'd be surprised.
That's a good spot.
At how the people you'll meet. It's an exciting thing to do. And at first, I kind of frowned on it because I guess pride. I thought, I'm not going to do that. You know.
Yeah.
But I love doing that. And
man, I ain't gonna lie. I've thought about doing that sometimes when I was broke. Go sitting on Bardstown Road with a washboard and a bucket.
I saw a guy with 4 different size buckets.
Yeah.
And
man, some of those buskers are amazing.
They are. Some of them are, and some of them go all over the world. You know. Mm-hmm. But I start doing that now. And I also started playing a lot of these assisted living places. Yeah. Now, not the nursing home, but the assisted living.
Yeah.
And I get a good joy out of that, you know.
Oh, yeah, man. I love playing for things like that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And hospitals. And
a lot of them appreciate you. The feeling is just like playing if you was in a Carnegie Hall somewhere.
I agree.
And you give them your all too. You know?
And it's also kind of that churchy feeling, that good spiritual,
it's like you're
happy feeling that you're doing. It is because you're doing something good.
Yeah, I think so. Also.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Rick, we've got you until 4:00, so I'm excited. And you brought in a record, Saxophone Man, Rick DeBow, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this record.
Well, those songs. A lot of them were old songs that I had created a long time ago. And then a friend of mine who owned a record shop just asked me, how would you like to do that? And I said, man, I don't have the money for that. You know, he says, well, I'll sponsor you, you know.
Oh, cool.
So he sponsored me, and then those songs, like I said, I had them sitting back. That was a chance for me to have them recorded. And he sponsored me, him and Bright Liquors.
Yeah.
It's a liquor store down the West End. They sponsored me, and
cool.
That's how we come about that.
Man, very cool. Well, we're going to spin some of this today, and the track we picked is Mr. Magic.
Oh, yeah Mr. Magic.
We're going to listen to some Mr. Magic here. And it says recorded at Downtown Studios right here in Louisville, Kentucky. You're locked on to Jyneration Nation, LRS102.com. Stay tuned. That's Rick DeBow on LRS102.com, The Walrus. We're broadcasting live from the Launch Louisville studios. And you're with Jen Yates and Rick DeBow up in the studios. Thank you for coming in, man. I love that track.
Thank you.
I just asked you, I said, is that you on flute and saxophone? You said,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love a flute. There's just something so peaceful to me about a flute. It's very meditative. It's a really interesting instrument.
I did I guess about 4 years ago, I had live Shakespeare in the Park. I was fortunate enough to get on that staff.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was in Caesar's band. I also played the bass drum for the Cadence, but I did flute too.
Yeah.
And that was and that's not rock and roll or I don't know what category that music would be put into, but it was
either.
Different from what I normally play.
Shakespearean stuff.
Yeah, and that was fun.
Man, I don't know. I'd love to know what category that would be in because I'm not for sure.
It's not Gothnic.
No, Gothnic. I love that. What is Gothnic? I know what goth is, Gothnic.
But it's something. There's a name for it.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yes, it is.
You were telling me you're going to be playing World Fest coming up.
Yes, that's coming up the 30th from 6:45 to 7:30.
Yeah, and I've got a thing here because LRS is one of the main radio stations for World Fest. So we're really excited to be a part of that. That's going to be on the Belvedere Labor Day weekend. Yes. It's the 17th year. And, of course, they offer international food, music, crafts, culture, education, the whole nine. There's a lot of people playing that. So that's really cool that you're on the stage. Yeah. So get out, people, and do that if you haven't. Here it is. Here's your name. You're going to be on at 6:45 on the Fountain Stage on Friday, August 30th.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Very cool.
If the weather's not real hot, I'm threatened with a breathing.
Yeah, let's talk about
problem.
that. You are diagnosed COPD.
Yes, and I like to let everybody, all the listeners, know that some of the things you're diagnosed with doesn't mean that it's over with. I'm threatened every day with this breathing problem, but I'm dealing with it. Mm-hmm. And there's a procedure, first time in the United States, and I'm lucky enough to get on that.
Yeah.
And until then, I got to deal with this humidity and stuff like that.
Yeah. What's the new thing that's going on with
there's
that?
There's a valve that's out. It's the first in the United States. It's been overseas for a while. It's practically a cure for COPD. They taking it off. It was online as WHAS COPD, and it's a valve that as long as you're not too far gone, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a valve that they'll put in, and it's an outpatient procedure that it works like a butyrol. A butyrol, if you take a puff on your inhaler, it opens you up. Well, there's some type of in and out hole in your lungs. I'm not really technical.
Yeah,
with
the doctoral terms.
And all that, but the terms and everything.
Yeah, I feel you.
But
we're musicians.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
B flat and A flat.
Right, exactly.
But Zephyr lung, you're coming from somewhere else. But the one I'm going to get is a Zephyr lung valve that they'll put in, and it'll keep me open and let the air flow in and out freely, and I won't have to use an inhaler or anything. I think a lot of people should know about that.
Absolutely.
It's really crowded now, though. It's backed up.
Yeah.
And I just happened to get in early on it. I'll get mine in October. Everybody I've read up on, it has improved their breathing almost at least 50%.
Wow, that's
One
good.
lady, it was 28%, but it's not for everybody. But those who are blessed to get something out of that, and I'm very blessed to have been to get in on that procedure because it threatens
your career.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you play sax and you need air. We all need air to survive. So, I was just telling you that I took a pretty nasty fall in October of last year, and I've got nerve issues going down my left arm.
Yeah.
And man, my fingers, like right now, I'm touching them. They're numb.
Tingly.
They're numb.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I hold that left hand drumstick, which is my snare hand, and hit that snare, it's obviously all about the vibration of the drum.
Of course.
When I hit that snare drum, sometimes it feels like I'm being cattle prodded or shocked.
Yeah. But you got to continue doing that. You can't lay down and you got to stay exercised.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had a car accident and broke my arm in 3 places.
Wow.
Had to get it rebuilt, and I was paralyzed for maybe 3 months. I couldn't hold, and I was threatened with that I wasn't going to be able to play anymore.
Well, yeah.
And during that time, It was real bad because at that time I'm not even thinking about recuperating or nothing. I'm thinking about like it's over with, you know.
Yeah.
But then some little tiny voice inside says keep going, and I'm back playing again.
Good for you.
And so we're gonna get injuries sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
We try to take care of our hands. Music.
Oh yes.
But sometimes we have injuries, and I've been fortunate enough to. And so, if you to come back from that and able to still be able to do what you really truly love to do.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, it really scared me because I play Wipeout a lot. Everybody always wants to, a drummer to play Wipeout.
It is action in there now.
It does, and I play it really fast, so I like to take it to a whole nother level. And I've been playing it since I was 6, so I've been playing it for a minute.
That's
you know what I'm saying? It is.
Too.
But after my arm damage, I was noticing in my 16th notes, my left arm is not keeping up like my right arm.
Yeah.
And I can tell a difference in my playing.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is hard, when you're used to playing at a certain level and then you have physical issues that take you down a notch. It's really heartbreaking almost,
Well, you and I are lucky to have been able to overcome such stuff like that.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame.
I just keep praying. I'm like, pray, please fix this.
But you far. You got a long way to go, girl. You can't tell me what you might get into.
I
hope you do.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I like you. You're very inspiring.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, very inspiring and very nice with all the compliments and stuff like that.
That's true.
It's great. Yeah. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of venues come and go in your day.
Oh gosh,
here.
Yes. Most of them here in Louisville.
Yeah, we talk a lot about this on the show. How many venues are few and far between nowadays, and we're getting more here and there, but. It's not like it used to be where you could play every night through the week and make really good money
and play a good gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'd all be real good venues.
Right.
Of course, I've played all the small beer joints and all that too. But places like City Lights, Phoenix Hill.
Phoenix Hill's gone, man.
What's that? Was out on Bosstown Road?
Toy Tiger.
Yeah. Places like that.
Jim Porter's. All those. They're gone, man.
All that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Bulldozed
them down.
Yeah. I took a little ride around town last weekend. Just I get me some air.
Yeah.
And I got out, and all the places I used to just sometimes ride by and see the crowd. Just ride by. Oh, the club's packed tonight.
Yeah. Bardstown Road on a Friday, Saturday night, man.
You can go pretty much and kind of hang out and see somebody sometimes even without going in the place.
Oh yeah, that's what I do. I call myself a fly on Bardstown Road. So if I don't have a gig or something, I'm usually walking that strip. Just because I think it's fun to just watch and people watch and
and everybody out and stuff. But that's changed a whole lot. I found myself being out, and I just said, I'm going on back home.
Yeah,
because you drive out these places and they're all dead.
Yeah,
but I remember a time, even as a child, going down Walnut Street.
Yeah,
it was a lot of action. Walnut Street used to be just a group of all kinds of acts, jazz, and that's the time when I don't know if you remember when the funeral homes used to show the bodies in front of the window.
No, I don't. I didn't even know they did that.
They had to. You go by.
So if you were dead, they would just put you in the window and let people walk by?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And
I want that going down. I want people to walk by and... I'm totally joking.
It took me, as a child, it was spook me out.
Oh, yeah, it'd be spooky.
As growing up, I kind of got used to it. And that was during a time when they used to bring the body to your house. And all that old
that's
stuff.
Wild, man.
But Walnut Street, you go down and see all these musicians and people and a lot of action. And it lasted all the way up to, I guess it's been maybe 2 or 3 years here in Louisville that a lot of that has just changed. It's just, to me,
I'm still stuck on the dead body thing.
I was like, hey, that was true though.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm just like, so on Walnut Street, would they do that? Near the clubs?
They all be mixed in together. You go down Walnut Street and you pass G.C. Williams Funeral Home was there then, and I think A.D. Porter, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there was a few funeral homes mixed in on the same strip as the nightclubs.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
So you enjoy your music after you went out, pass a dead person in the window.
Wow.
And it
that's
was
so
weird.
bizarre to me.
But that's the way it really was.
Yeah.
And, it become like a way of life,
Man, I tell you what, there's nothing like that ingrained image in your head if you're young and you've seen a dead body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Would they dress them up and stuff?
Well, it'd be just like
Look just like in their casket.
Yeah, like at the funeral, you know, like view the body.
Yeah, like
and
a wake.
You wouldn't have to get out of your car. You just view the body from the side while driving up. And
ain't that something? It's like Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, that doesn't sound real, does it? But it really, if anybody out there is my age,
that's wild.
They know that's the truth.
You taught me something today. I had no idea they did that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
and then
I would have been
next to it,
freaked out.
Doors down. You got a bunch of people. You know, everybody's going in and get drinks and.
Man, can you imagine being drunk and coming out and seeing that? I'm just saying. That would spook. No wonder you were spooked out. Yeah. Oh, man. That's wild. I wish I'd have been back in the days to figure out, see some of that stuff. That's crazy. Right here in Louisville, Kentucky, too.
Yeah. But, it was a normal for most people, at that time. Now some things, as things change, you say, God, did they used to do that for real?
Yeah,
but they did. And,
if you look at our history period, there's some messed up stuff going down.
I know
what I mean?
There's some big changes. Yeah. Some of them are the bad. It's good that they did change.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I even think my brain went back to like the Colosseum times, and the Romans.
Oh.
And, I mean, that's just crazy. Some of the stuff they do back then. You know what I mean? We kind of love to watch people get killed. Almost,
well,
it's the weirdest stuff.
Yeah,
it's like very Aboriginal. Aborigine.
I heard it was mandatory. So far back, certain times that you attended lions eating people and executions and stuff. You were required
the French
to attend.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
Everybody get their tickets. We got lions going to eat 4 burglars tonight.
Yeah. Isn't that wild to crazy. Think about that? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. Human beings are interesting characters.
Yes, they are.
Yes. And there's nothing more that I love than history myself. I
loved history, yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather was one of the first black firemen, John Winston, Engine 8.
Cool.
On 13. And my mom gave me that little history book of Louisville and his pictures in there.
Cool. So he was one of the first firemen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Super cool, man. We always think firemen's for their job. Firewomen, firemen, whatever the proper term is.
I know a fireman that owned a nightclub.
Oh, yeah?
And he knew my grandfather, who was a fireman. And it was Mr. D's. I don't know if anybody remembers Mr. D's.
Mr. D's.
Down on Grand. And he was a fireman, and he had a nightclub. And he hired my brother and I. And we stayed there maybe 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. He kind of took us on his own. He treated us real special because he knew my grandfather. Yeah. And he's a retired fireman also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about back to the music stuff. Have you ever? We were talking about meeting like famous people and being just in awe of them. Who's one of the most, the biggest name that you got to meet that just blew you away?
I'll tell you who really. I've met a lot of musicians, famous ones, and but the one that was really more inspiring was Curtis Mayfield.
Cool.
And the way he talked, he was sort of like a minister or something.
Yeah.
Aaron Neville was a real nice guy. Lou Rawls was a really, really nice guy to sit down and talk with.
I bet. Lou Rawls, man.
Yeah.
That's history right there.
Yeah, I got a lot of pictures of some of the celebrities. I've been playing 58 years now. And I got a bag. I need to put them all in frames and stuff. I've got a lot of pictures, Bobby Bland, and I've met a lot of people. But I think Curtis Mayfield was the most inspiring for somebody like me who was seeking a musical career and having a hard time getting it done.
Yeah.
And him giving me saying certain things that would strengthen me to keep going. You know?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'll take Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah, wow, what a great name, man. Yeah. I mean, what a great musician all around.
He offered me a job.
He did.
Yeah.
What was the offer?
Well, to play with him, to work with him.
Yeah.
I had the DeBow. We had the DeBow brothers together then, though. We were doing pretty good. We were going back and forth down Muscle shows, recording, and that's when I did Tony Joe White's album.
Oh yeah. So you got to record at Muscle Shoals?
Yeah, stay down. That's how I got on Percy Sledge's last album and Tony Joe White's last album. The Poke Salad Andy guy.
Yeah, I know Poke Salad Andy. Yeah, I've had to play it a few times in my day. Yeah.
I was on his last album also. So I was a session player down there for a while. Johnny Appleseed, and I got to meet the Commodores, and a lot of people recorded down there. And I stayed down there a pretty good while recording. And then,
Very cool, man. What an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never even gotten to see Muscle Shoals, but I would love to.
Well, you ain't got 60 yet either. I mean,
that's true.
You
That's
got
true.
time. You got some stuff left over that you ain't done.
Yeah. I did, though, just went to Memphis not too long ago and got to do the tour of Sun Records.
You're going to get around to it because you're not going to quit.
Yeah, no, I don't plan on quitting anytime soon.
So you're going to get around to all that stuff.
That's why I said I'd rather be gone if I couldn't play. You know what I mean? I'd rather just not be here.
Me too. And somebody, and you know, as time goes, you lay your legs. Somebody be seeking to meet you.
Yeah, I hope so.
I like to see who she is. Well, as time goes,
you
don't plan these things. These things happen. You put your time in, and music is a. I wouldn't want my kid to grow up. Don't let your babies grow up and be cowboys.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't suggest
being
taking
the
route. Well, the way it's come up for me, but it's been something rewarding.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's definitely been rewarding. I've had my ups and downs with it too. There's many times where I got passed over for auditions, or I'd be, first off, I'm from a small town of like 3,600 people, a small little farming town, in Lake Cumberland, and for me to get to to come to Louisville and then somehow get chosen, with the help of Nancy Harris, by the way. She was monumental in helping me do a lot of cool stuff. But I got this audition for the show called Girlfriend at Actors Theater back in 2013, and they needed a female drummer. That's specifically what they were looking for.
Wow.
And I went on the audition. I got picked up for it, and then we did, I forget, had like 31-day run or something like that.
I bet that was exciting.
It was. And then the musical director got picked up to do the same show out in L.A., and she hired me again.
Oh, wow.
And that took me to Los Angeles.
Yeah. Music is the only business. I won't say the only business.
Yeah.
And excuse me for cutting in.
No.
But one good thing about music, and that has been for me, all the places I've been, all over, every state in the United States, Canada, everywhere, all the places, it didn't cost me a nickel.
Yeah. Same.
Got to go to all the ocean, the lakes, and all the wonders of the world.
Yeah.
You get to see all that.
Yeah.
And you got paid to do it.
Yeah. My mom said that to me the other day. We were on the phone, and my mom was telling me, she's bucket listing off her checklist of places she wants to see now that she's retired. And I'm always like, I always love my mom. She's super independent. She just travels with her gaggle of girls, and they travel wherever they want to go. I think she was telling me she was going to go out to the West Coast and do the Highway 1 from like San Francisco or Oregon or somewhere.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, Mom, you should do that. And I was like, that's one thing I love about music. And she goes, yep, you know what? You've traveled the world and you've gotten paid to do it. And I said, you know what, Mom, you're right. I did get paid to do all that stuff.
You don't really think of it like that, but that's really the way it is.
No.
And think of all the people you meet.
Yeah, I've met some of the coolest people.
Oh my gosh, yes.
In fact, every time I get down, every time I get down and out, kind of in a depressive state sometimes, then I just think back to all the experiences I've had across the United States and Canada, and how many awesome, the people that I've met have proved to me that there are beautiful people in this world.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They're out there.
You've got a universal attitude. I mean, it's universal, now. And I think that's changed me too as a person to have had fortunate enough to go and all these places. I've been a lot of places and meeting people.
Yeah.
My time down at the Universal Studios was real good. It was during the time they was doing Dick Tracy.
Oh, cool.
And we were down there opening up for Eddie Money.
Oh, cool! I love that.
And to be down there and to meet those people, and I recorded that while I was out there too.
Yeah,
I went first. Second time with Shannon Lawson. I don't know if you remember. You remember? Shannon
I've heard of Shannon Lawson. Yeah, I've heard a lot of Shannon Lawson. Actually,
we flew down to California with him and his group, and me and
I think Max Maxwell was talking a lot about Shannon Lawson.
Well, I think he got signed. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
He was pretty on his way to being pretty big.
Yeah.
We stayed down there with them and recorded. And I remember that was during the time when River Phoenix got killed or killed himself or did something.
Yeah, in the Viper Room, right? Yeah, the famous Viper Room. Yeah,
we actually went there.
Yeah, me too.
Did you go?
It's pretty well. When I got hired to go out to California, they put me up in a multi-million-dollar condo, gave me a car, the whole nine. I was living on Venice Beach at Washington Street. So where the Doors formed and Janis Joplin used to walk that strip and all this cool stuff. So I was out there to see I wanted to see all the music stuff because it was my first time ever on the West Coast, and I went to the Whiskey a Go Go and the Rainbow Room and
you
saw
went to
the Viper.
Too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
cruised Malibu. I loved it out there.
Yeah, Paul Bennett. Shout out to Paul Bennett. He's a bass player.
Yeah, I know Paul Bennett.
You know Paul Bennett? He was my roommate. He was my roommate down there.
No kidding.
Yeah, we had a real good time in California.
Yeah, I love me some California. It's a whole different mindset out there. And I, again, have met people. When I got out there, first off, it was surreal for me to be from a small little town.
Well, I guess.
And then be like, I'm in L.A., and I was by myself, but I did have a car. I was doing a theater show at the Kirk Douglas Theater. And I was getting to park in Kirk Douglas's parking spot like every day.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And
you need to get a book out.
I know. This is why I need to write this book.
Go another 10 years.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Well,
another thing was
1,000 pages.
I'd be up there playing, and I'm just a small town country girl, from Kentucky, and I'd look out and I'd be like, that looks like Courtney Love, or that looks like the Bangles. And sure enough, it would be them. It would be them. They'd come up after the show and come to the back and want to meet everybody. And I'm just like, wow, this is surreal.
Yeah, it's something else. I was down muscle shows. I'm going to tell you how I met Percy Sledge. Okay?
Yeah, tell me. I want to know this story.
I'm a jokester. We were down there recording our first album with Mercury and Broadway Productions. And this little short guy walks behind me,
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, everybody." He had this real weird voice, right?
Percy did?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
So after he passed by, I'm like, man, did you hear that guy's voice? Man?
Sound awful feminine.
He sounded like a little mouse.
Yeah.
And he was standing right behind me.
Oh, no. What did he say?
He started laughing, and he says, "Hey, I'd like for you. What's your name? I've been down here doing your session, and how would you like to be on my album?" Well, yeah, But that's how I met him.
And you met him making fun of him?
Making fun of him.
Good thing he didn't get mad and try to beat you up or something. Oh man, yeah. Percy Sledge for all you youngins that don't know. When a Man Loves a Woman.
When a Man Loves a Woman.
That's his big hit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he had a lot of other stuff, too.
He had some other stuff, too. Yes, he did. He was a nice guy, too.
Man, some of the names you named off that Curtis Mayfield, that's pretty wild, man.
I got a chance to meet a lot of players down Muscle Shoals.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it at the time, it was just as big as Warner Brothers. Well, not quite, but just pretty much as big as Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
A lot of artists come
By the way, Warner Brothers, just fun fact about me, is the reason I'm here in Louisville.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I started working in radio when I was 16. The owner of the radio station talked to me and said, "I love your voice, kid." And she said, "Do you have a job yet?" And I said, "No." And she said, "When you turn 16, you come see me and we'll give you a job." And she did. I didn't even put in an application. She hired me right there.
You see, you don't know what's in store for you.
I know. God has always directed my life.
That's good.
Yeah, where I needed to go.
Good people get good things out of life. You know, I think you got a better chance of being fair to people and being good.
Yeah.
And and stand steadfast with your faith.
Yeah.
And a lot of good stuff happens.
I agree. I wake up every morning and I say to myself, or I say to a higher spirit, I call it the spirit,
Yeah, of course.
I always say, God, what is it you would like for me to do for you today? Like, direct me. You know what I mean?
Thank him for taking you this far.
Yeah, blessed, grateful, that whole nine. And, I haven't always done great things in my life, but now as I'm getting older, I'm like, the more I give back, the more I do good things for the community, the more I, help people, the more I do
the benefits
pay it
that.
forward, basically.
Yes.
I feel like the more I pay it forward, the more that comes to me, too.
Yeah. I had another thing I was going to mention. I lost my daughter about 3 months ago.
I'm so
my
sorry.
My ex-wife found her unresponsive, and I got 3 girls, and they would come over. She would and stay with me a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I'd play music for her.
Yeah.
And she'd sing and stuff, and we'd sit there. And music, having her death in some strange way has boosted me to another place. Even though I miss her, but it has boosted me in a strange way musically. I can't explain that to you.
I could see that. I can relate because the girl that I told you that I did the record with, Hillbilly Swagger,
Yeah.
she toured with B.B. King. She was nominated for Grammy. She really did some really cool things in her day. She was one of my best friends. We just had that spiritual,
Is that right?
magical spark
Is she still
together.
alive? I mean,
no, she passed away in October. And then about 2 weeks ago, I lost my bass player of 12 years that was
sorry.
also my roommate.
That's
so
rough.
within the past 8 to 9 months, I've lost 2 of my closest musician friends.
Is that right?
Yeah, and it's been tough. But like you said, in a weird way,
It'll boost you.
it'll boost you to become creative because I use and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this, about being like a solo artist, because I've always been in bands. Drums are an accompaniment instrument pretty much. But I started kind of making my way by myself, doing my own solo stuff. I was producing for other people, and I got a lot of experience doing that.
Solo drums?
So no, just a solo record where
I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
where I'm writing it, producing it, playing every
yeah.
instrument, doing the voices and all that
That's
stuff.
different. That's a different.
Yeah, I
different
wanted
thing
to go
do.
a different avenue and set myself apart as an artist, not just a drummer.
Sure.
If that makes sense. So I use my personal writing music as closure for things that I can't
I do
get
too.
closure for in
Sure.
everyday life. And, you know, I have a hard time writing when I'm happy. I usually only write when I'm sad or angry. That's, I've tried, but
is
it's
that
hard.
right?
It is.
And my songs, somebody brought it to my attention. Are more about life and things that happened to me.
Yeah.
In a way, I'm pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
I'm real happy. I'm better
Yeah.
off writing about something that happened,
Yeah.
or something, a memory or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's hard for me. I'm not really a songwriter, but I've done it enough and been around a bunch of really great
Yeah, for
songwriters
sure.
that do different styles of songwriting. And
You are so conceited. I mean, not conceited, unconceited. You're greater than what you think you are. That's a good thing. That's
Well,
a good
thank
thing
you,
for
sir. I
you
appreciate
to
that.
be more than what you even think you are.
yeah, yeah. Now, people might disagree with that. Some people.
Well,
but
no, I mean, what I'm saying.
I always say it's
how
not-
you feel yourself.
Yeah.
You're not stuck on yourself. You
Right,
know, you let
right.
somebody else tell you that you're good. You don't go around smoking
Right.
your own pipe.
No,
you
no,
know?
no.
And I'm telling you that
Yeah, well,
from
thank you,
talking
sir.
from talking with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I always call it confidence, not cockiness. You know what I mean?
Right,
You've got
right.
it, and especially as a drummer, and I forget what famous. It may have been like Tony Williams or somebody like that said, people keep hiring you back for your confidence when you're a drummer.
I bet you surprise
You
people.
can't be not confident. You can't be weak
No,
and
you
them
can't.
hire
You got to have confidence.
Yeah.
You do it to a
And the
certain-
drummer, they're the foundation with that bass player, the rhythm section. It's like if you don't have a confident rhythm section, it can get a little iffy.
Yeah, and a lot of people still stuck on the old times. I bet you just knock them out. They say, look at this woman playing these drums at this level.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
thinking, how could she possibly play drums better
Yeah.
than me?
Yeah.
And I been,
Well, you know what? I always looked at it like I studied everybody I could, and I still do, and I've read every piece of music that's ever been thrown at me. I've taken every challenge, anytime.
Good for you.
It didn't matter if I had the 9 to 5. If somebody called and said, we're going to take you to LA, that I said, bye, I'm going to LA. I always followed my heart with music.
Yeah.
And I always say music lead the way because music has literally led the way for me in every
Me too.
aspect of my life.
Me too. I'll share something with you. It was a group came out of Louisville called The New Birth. They done real good. I don't know if you heard them or not.
The name sounds very familiar,
Well,
yeah.
I lived across the alley from where they used to practice at. Harvey Fuqua out of Motown was their conductor or whatever,
Yeah.
their leader,
Or
or
like
whatever.
music director.
Yeah, director and everything. And I used to go over there, and this was right when I was in junior high too. I go over there and listen to them. I take my horn, and finally they let me play.
Yeah.
And then I kept going every day,
Yeah.
And then they decided that they wanted me to join up with them. Well, I was still in junior high school.
Yeah.
So I went home and I told Mom, I said, Mom, I put on my tough face, because my mom said, I said, look, I didn't ask her. I told her, I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to California with the New Birth.
And what'd she say?
She said, no, you're not. And so I said, well, I'm not going to argue with you. I just want to let you know ahead of time. I'm giving you a head up because I'm going.
Right.
So I packed the night that they were going to leave. I had a little brown suitcase. It was a little bit 2 sizes bigger than a shoe box.
Yeah.
I stuffed everything in it, all my clothes that I, and everything, and tied it up with a rope.
Yeah.
And then I got ready to go, and then the bus came.
Yeah.
And I'm like on edge. I don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to get caught or am I going?
Yeah.
And so I walked I got everything together, but I couldn't find my saxophone.
Oh, no.
I'm saying, oh, my God.
Did your mom hide your saxophone?
She done hid my saxophone.
I had a feeling she might have.
I was pissed. The bus drove off and I had tears in my eyes.
Oh, I bet.
But I still, at that time when the bus drove off, I still didn't blame my mom. I wouldn't think she would have done that.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, here it shows up in my bedroom. And I'm saying, like, well, yeah, she got me.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I love that.
But when you got a love for music, you don't stop.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And as I've gotten older, I start saying no to certain things. But I did start to figure out that, sometimes you do need to say no to open up the door for bigger things to come in. I
guess sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. And as I've gotten older, I've kind of shied away a little bit more from the bar scene. As I work on my sobriety and stuff like that.
Sure.
I just don't like to be around a bunch of drunks all the time. You know what I mean?
I don't
mind to play for anybody. I'll play music for anybody, but at the same time, when you're working on yourself, there are certain things you have to distance yourself from.
Well, you have to weed your garden now. I'm telling you that. Weeds, you're pretty flower growing and there's a bunch of weeds around, something's going to happen. Yeah. Even the Bible tells you that. Weed your garden. Yeah. Get away from some of those things. I think that has saved me.
Yeah.
I've had a few people. I had a trumpet player that died in my arms in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And I just watched him just go. He overdosed,
Oh, wow.
And I've been in groups. I was in a group once up in Ohio. They got so high, they had to pull over, and we were like a half hour late to the show because everybody had to overcome that if you've been around any heroin addicts, I mean,
you shooting. I have never been around a heroin addict.
I was in a heroin addict band.
Oh, wow.
And I just watched those guys just
go downhill.
Yeah, and miss gigs and missed out on a bunch of stuff. Much better players than myself. And so I've learned to what you said is true, to get away from some of the things that can mislead you and get in your way, Right. And that's a good thing to do. And it's a good thing to tell younger people, once you get that in you, it'll save your life.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
it will.
And by the way, speaking of that, Razor Sharp, remember me telling you I did a little bit of touring with him. He was in Bootsy's Rubber Band, as well as he toured with George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. Man, when we were on the road, he would tell me the craziest stories about people ODing on stage, all the drug use going on behind the scenes.
Especially the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, he was, he had lived through all that and played through all that and seen a lot of stuff. And he was a completely sober dude. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't do none.
I quit getting high, too. At a point, we smoke your doobie before you go to the studio, you know. And then after you listen to your recording, you'll hear doobie stuff in your music, weed, flaws, and we decided a long time to get away from that. I mean, I'm not down to anybody smoke a little weed or something, but anything that's going to take you out of it. And if you're blessed enough to be able to save yourself before it's too late.
Right.
A lot of musicians are, we're supposed to be mostly drug addicts, players. We all that's not always true.
I agree with that.
Because your upbringing will be how far your boundaries go. How you brought up there's certain things that you just won't do.
Yeah.
But you'll be around it.
Yeah.
You'll be around it. You can't help but be around it because that's true that all that exists fluently in the music business.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you have to be part. You can be of it, but not part of it.
Right. Well, and I think, I did a little bit of a cover band stuff around town, and, I finally got to the point where I wanted to play with more sober players and not putting anybody down for what they do, because I'm not going to judge them. But at the same time, I look at music because I was trying to make music to eat, to sustain
Well, yeah.
a living. So I was looking at music like it was a job, you know, and then I was working with people who were looking at it more like it was a party. They had the 9 to 5s and they only did it on the weekend. You know, they weren't doing it like me. So we had two different perspectives on.
Well, you call them
on music, you know, and I finally just decided that I couldn't say that I'm always going to play with sober players because you never know, you know what I'm saying?
No.
And I'm not ever going to say never say never. But at the same time, I find that I do better and that the pros that I've worked with have been sober. And I enjoy that. When I toured with Kelly Ritchie, she was completely sober. In fact, she made me sign a contract that I would not drink in a year. And I didn't.
Well, actually, that was a good thing.
It was. And I didn't. I played sober every show, you know what I mean? And not only that, but Beverly McClellan, the lady I was telling, you know, my musical soulmate, I call her, she also was sober. She didn't drink. She didn't do none of that. When I went out to L.A., all the theater cats, all sober. You know what I mean? So I just started looking at it like, if you want to make this a profession and be professional, you're not going to go to your day job drunk. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you know, you can always get out from work and have your little nightcap and a doobie or something. Yeah. You know, it shouldn't take priority.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree with you because nowadays we're in this era where everybody's got a video camera phone in your face when you're playing. And, you know, if you go back and watch people that are pretty trashed when they're on stage, then you're like, ugh. You know, because we're watching it back now.
Yeah, you'll see things. And we used to do that. We started with the DeBow brothers. We got away from that. Yeah. Because it would, matter of fact, it went along with the session. Yeah. You know, a bottle of liquor and some weed or something. It went along with the session. But then after you take it serious and realize that you got to be at your top, at your the best, mentally, physically, and you'll get out of that pretty fast. And I hope by us talking to this will inspire some of the other people coming up. Not to have an altered mind. Yeah. You know, have a straight mind and do what you're doing. And you will go further. I don't know how much further, but believe me, further is further, even if it's an inch.
I agree. You know, and it's funny now that I'm a little bit older, not that I'm old, but I'm a little bit older than some of these 21-year-old players, you know. Yeah. It's funny because I feel like now I'm mentoring them in that sense.
Well, you are,
because
really.
I was not sober at that age.
I wasn't either.
I mean? Yeah.
But they watch you. Yeah. You know, the younger people watch you.
Yeah. And I feel like it's just, you know, and it's an example I want to set. Yeah. And when you're teaching kids like I do, you know, you don't want to go out here and do stupid stuff. And, you're trying to be a good role model for those students.
Yeah, and be that, you know, and be proud of that. And you get things done. You help people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love teaching. There's nothing more in the world that you know what's funny, Rick, is I dropped out of music school because I didn't want to be a music teacher. And then life.
Is that right?
Yeah, higher power in life ended up making me a music teacher.
Well, you know, it may have been the timing. Life is like timing. You come into things, you come into knowledge of some things in life at a certain time. You may not have been ready for that at that time. Yeah. You know, and now, wasn't. You know, as things unfold, you know, now this God has put this time. It's time for me to do this. And again, I'm saying. You're only 40. You got along so much nice.
I'm hoping I do.
You will. You take care of yourself. You will. Yeah. You know, we can't predict it. We're gonna go that sometime or another. Yeah. But we're not trying to rush things. You know.
Yeah. I tell you what, man. Losing those two, we were talking about death. You know, and I mean, it's a pretty rough thing to go through, and I had to go through it back to back. It seemed like
That's awful.
It was awful. You know, it was a whole time period in my life where it was like I was looking for a place to live. On top of that, you know, I lost a band that was a major business to me. I also felt like I lost some friendships. So I was kind of mourning the band like it was a death of people, you know, and then to lose two people back to back. And they were both really young, you know. So
people that are close to you, you lose them, you know, like my daughter. But like I'm saying, you know, we don't have any control of some of the things that go on, but you know, but we have an obligation to inspire and to keep going. We got a job. We got a job to do.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it's not just about us. You know, as we move, we pick up people, we carry people, we influence people. Yeah, and you'd be surprised probably how many people that you've talked to. But maybe let's say a woman who wants to play drums.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she's been told, and then here's a woman drummer who's somewhat successful and still headed up.
Yeah.
Can say, hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
And if you need me, I'm here for and all that. And, and I think we have an obligation to stay good and do the things that we're supposed to do.
Talking about that, there are young 21-year-olds that come up to me and they're crying about losing their band or something. I'm like, dude, trust me, I've been there. Or they went on an audition, they didn't get it. I've been there. You know what I mean? I've lost tons of auditions in my day, but I always kept auditioning.
Yeah,
you can't let that get you down, man.
There are a lot of musicians out here that want the same thing you want too. Yeah. That's why we can't close an eye, because you may lose a good band. I've had some real good bands. I just things get so hard and we can't stay together because we can't work.
Yeah.
But then there's been some new things that I've run across that's been like even better than what I didn't even dream of.
I tell you what, I've got this really cool gig coming up September 21st. It's up here in Bardstown Road. It's the Louisville Pride Festival. And I am going to get to play with LaVon Fisher Wilson. Have you ever heard of her?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so LaVon, she went to YPass, vocalist, but she also...
Oh, she did?
Yeah, but she runs the Queens of Funk and Soul here, and they're a big, I forget, every time she performs, she has a different number of backing singers. But she went off to Broadway, and she did really good in New York City.
Is that right?
Yeah, and she was in The Color Purple on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
Newsies and a bunch of just Broadway stuff. And she's kind of back and forth between here and L.A., but Louisville is her home base. So for the first time, I'm going to get to play...
That's good for you.
Behind her.
That's great.
With the 6, background singers, and they got the outfits and the dancing moves and the whole nine. So
I know you're
that's
going to
be.
that.
I am.
Oh,
it's a big stage too. It's like a chow wagon stage. You know what I mean? You play straight down Bardstown Road. So I'm really pumped about that one. Yeah.
Good for you. That's
and
wonderful.
Jimmy Brown, do you know Jimmy Brown?
No, I don't think I know him.
He owned the Guitar Emporium for a long time there in Bardstown Road.
Oh, okay.
The guitar shop.
I never met him.
Yeah, he's going to be playing bass with me that day. So I'm excited because
getting it on.
Yeah, he's a great professional bass player around town, and I just love to watch him. He always has this big smile on his face.
Yeah.
And when I play, I love to smile at people because they just feed off of that, and they'll smile back.
They do.
So I can't wait to play with him because he just looks so happy when he plays.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, so anyway, just throwing that in there. Queens of Funk and Soul. Check us out at Highlands Pride.
Don't forget
Louisville
to check
Pride.
her out.
Yeah. Well, Rick, do you have any gigs coming up, though, you want to promote?
Well, I've got some... excuse me. I've been doing I don't do the nightclub thing anymore.
Yeah.
I've been off of that. For one thing, there's no money in these little nightclubs. And just like you, music is my living. I mean, that's what I do.
Right.
And I'm getting two things out of doing what I do: making some money, and pleasing people, and enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of these assisted living places, but I have some parties and private parties and stuff like that, and I do better doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I love a private party.
Yeah,
or
what
an
I mean?
Event or a festival.
Festivals and private parties. I've been doing a lot of them.
World Fest is a really good
World
gig.
Fest is going to be fun.
That's a cool gig to have.
Yes, it's going to be fun, and I'm also going to play with after I get from my gig, I'm going to play with Papa Stampley too.
Oh, he was in here on our show not too long ago.
Yeah,
I love Big Papa.
He and I are pretty good friends, and we support each other real well.
By the way, he goes on after you on the Fountain stage. Big Papa Stampley and Voodoo.
Yeah.
It says Gumbo, Blues, and Jazz.
I'm going to play with him also.
Okay, right on. That's super cool. And you got a belly dance. There's some belly dance Middle Eastern stuff going on before you. Now that is cool.
I'm telling people, come on out. That World Fest is always fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm just looking. Listen to the variety of music. You've got Caribbean island music.
Yeah.
You've got Middle Eastern, Indian jazz with you.
Yeah.
They call it Big Papa Stampley Gumbo Blues.
Yeah,
I love that. Reggae, Chinese, African American dance company. Amani's going to be there, as well as Destin Dance Company.
Amani.
That's
Amani,
what it says.
the guys.
Imani. It looks like IMANI. Imani.
No, that's not the group. It was a group from that was signed with Warner Brothers. I think they were Damani. I'm sorry.
Oh, Damani. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember them?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But anyway, you've got everything from Chinese fusion to Oriental to New Orleans style to South African, Uganda style, Argentine tango. Oh, I love an Argentine tango.
I do too.
Dance Society is going to be there. Wow. Yeah, I always love Argentine tangos. It's one of the coolest looking dances ever. Yeah, I always loved Argentine style music.
Me too. Along with my saxophone, I'm going to have a lawn chair, of course. So, but I'm not going anywhere.
As you should. Yeah,
I'm going to get me some refreshments and enjoy that. And I think everybody should come out to that festival. And if you haven't been, enjoy yourself. It's one heck of an event.
Heck yeah, and of course it's over Labor Day.
Yeah.
It runs Friday, August 30th to Monday, September 2nd, and LRS will be broadcasting live there at the Belvedere.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and you can go get some get you some culture and get you some good food and get you some
cheat on your diabetes.
I hear you, man. I wanted to ask you about being a solo artist because you have put out your own record, right?
I enjoy being a solo artist.
Yeah.
I've not always with the DeBow brothers. My brother was basically the lead singer.
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of the songs and he'd sing them, and being a solo artist is different for me now.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hadn't always been out front singing.
Right.
I'm starting to really, I'm singing more than I have ever.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being a single act. I enjoy it. I'm not one to always want to be out front always.
Right.
But I do enjoy being a solo act. I seem like I'm getting further, adding singing along with my playing sax with my instruments.
Yeah.
And I, the more instruments, sometimes the more work. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So I enjoy being a solo artist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've been doing, I always wanted to figure out, what way could I set myself apart from every other drummer out there? Not only am I female, that kind of stands out already.
You're set apart already because there's not another one of you.
That's right. You're right. You're
the original.
Yeah. So what I did was I don't really sing, although I can sing some harmonies underneath, but not great. It was never my forte. That's the one thing I didn't study. By the way, I meant to tell you, in college, I played Barry sax.
Did you?
I did. I actually, when I went
How'd
to
you
start,
hold it up?
I did not hold it the opposite hand or upside down. No, but I was going to tell you that when I went into concert band when I was like 6th grade or something, they put me on clarinet, and I did clarinet and then bass clarinet.
Did you?
Yeah, and so I was a woodwind, but
also,
yeah, but in marching band I would do the pit orchestra, or like the pit, which it was like timpani, drum set, marimbas, all that stuff. Yeah, and then if we did parades, I would march snare.
Plus, you said you read real good, too, so...
Yeah, I read drums really good.
Yeah,
now, I can read piano music, but I'm way slow at that.
Yeah. Well, that's good, your specialty being drums, but it's good that you can do other things,
Yeah.
I started out playing guitar first.
Yeah.
And, like I said, and then picked up saxophone and flute. And
I love that you play the flute. I just love the flute. I really do. Other than the harp, harp, not the harmonica, but this kind of harp, probably my 2 favorite instruments of all time.
One way I learned to play flute.
How's that?
Blowing on top of a pop bottle.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah. Trying to get the sound.
Well, if you can blow and get a tone out of top, you blow over that just like you would a pop bottle.
Yeah.
And
I used to love
the notes are the same as saxophone.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to tell you. Bass clarinet or clarinet, a lot of the fingerings in the upper register are the same as a saxophone. So therefore, it was an easy transfer over to Barry sax. And it just seemed like some people needed a Barry sax for something, so they kind of threw me on it. But yeah, my sister.
That's a big neck breaking instrument.
Yes, it is. And so is that bass clarinet. That thing's big.
Yeah, that's pretty big too.
Yeah, but my sister played, the saxophone as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I have I actually have an aunt who played sax. I have quite a few saxophone players in my family.
Is that right?
Now that I think about it, yeah. Yeah, but I was going to ask you about your writing style. When you write music, your own stuff, do you have some sort of method that you follow, or do the lyrics or the melody lines just come to you?
I'm blessed. I can have something happen, like a breakup with a girlfriend, a divorce, or
that's when I always write.
Witness something.
Breakups.
Well, yeah, those are the good ones.
Yeah.
Those are the sloppy good ones.
I was like 80% of our music is written about girls and breaking up with them for real, or breakups, or heartbreaks.
Heartbreaks, yeah. And I can you know, I can ride around somewhere or be someplace, and a thought will come to me, and I go from there.
Yeah.
So I guess it's no different than anybody else. It just comes and goes.
Yeah.
I have a dry spell. You know, I'm kind of having a dry spell now.
Yeah.
But I just got this new Telecaster. I got this new left-handed guitar.
Oh, cool.
And,
Are you a lefty?
Yeah.
Okay, right on.
And I got this new guitar, and I'm starting kind of getting back in the swing of trying to write some stuff. And,
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let it flow like that.
So you're like Jimi Hendrix. He was a lefty too.
Well,
right?
no. He was, but he played with his strings upside down.
I know. Yeah.
And I was blessed enough to get actually a left-hand Telecaster.
Guitar, yeah.
And I really enjoy that. I played saxophone, guitar before I did saxophone, and a little keyboards and all that. So I'm having fun doing that. And I know if I write a song, I'm not a real good keyboard player, but if I write a song and it's off the keyboards, it's different than me writing one off the guitar.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah,
mentally and physically. I mean.
Yeah.
I think of other things when I'm playing the guitar.
Yeah.
And with a piano, it's different too.
Yeah.
But
I love trying to play piano. I'm not the greatest, but I do know my little chords, and I've learned inversions.
Well, it's one thing you probably know, that if you, as a musician and as waxed as you are, you can pretty much get the instrument.
Yeah.
And piddle around with it, and before you know it, you'll be playing something on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know you can do that. Just by just being a musician.
Yeah, my friend Angie Hopperton, who's an awesome piano player, who I've played with for many years, she kind of blew my mind when I was just taking a few little lessons from her here and there, and she said, you know, I was talking about chord structure and chords and staying in the same key, and I was like, you know, okay, so when you're in this key, I can play these notes, and you know, and I was like, you know, I should stay right here. And she was like, no, not really. Literally, if you're writing, anything goes on a piano.
It does.
And I was like, wow, that kind of blew my mind. Like, oh, so I don't have to stay in this key. I can go to a different key.
Oh.
I can go to this key. I can do that. I can even play notes side by side each other, which I love, those weird ones that clash. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, you can do anything you want. And that kind of blew my mind because I was like, wow, there are no restrictions.
There's no limits. When you're writing a tune, you're not thinking chords, and you're thinking of this tune in your mind, and you got this melody, you know, and you may hum a little of it, and you pick around a little bit on it, and there are no rules. There are no rules to writing songs.
Yeah, that's what I kind of love about music, and that's why I like to write. Back to that whole, I was trying to figure out how to set myself apart in my 20s, you know.
Yeah.
How do I set myself apart to make people start to pay attention? Well, then, of course, I was a child of the 70s. I came up through the 80s. I had Grandmaster Flash's The Message as soon as it came out.
Okay.
You know, I was heavily influenced by hip-hop early on. And I always loved rhythm, obviously. So with hip-hop, to me, it was more about the drum beats and the vocals, you know?
Yeah,
and less about the melody lines, you know, and which makes it so interesting. But so I started doing this, like, you know, rapping over top of my drumming. And then I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. And then I, you know, which is like two parts of your brain, because you've got to remember lyrics and pitch and stuff. And then you're also playing the rhythm, which are, you know, rhythm and melody, the two parts of music. So I started doing that, and then I'd get better and better and better. And then I started incorporating electronics into my acoustic drum set. And then I got into like the sampling and the looping and the hooking and all this stuff.
All the juicy stuff. Do you have an electric set, drum set?
I do. Actually, I'm huge into electronics.
You like those better than?
I don't like them better. I like them both for different reasons.
I see. Because they are for different. They're not for all the same.
Correct.
That's
one thing
true.
I do love about them is, you know, you could take one pad and make it sound like 50,000 different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where on a drum set, you're kind of limited to the sounds that you can bring out of just a snare drum.
Right at present.
What I do is I take my acoustic kit, the real kit, you know, and I will make that, and then I'll have my little pad over to the side, and I will put
Mixed
a couple
in with it, huh?
Yeah, I'll mix them together.
I bet this,
so that I can trigger loops, play live over top of them, and rap. And then I was like, I'm a one-woman band right here. You know, I can do all kinds of things. I can even put vocals and all kinds of crazy things on that stuff, you know. So I started doing that. Of course, you know, coming up through the 80s, it was a bit like big Phil Collins fans and all these guys who were, you know, toying around with the electronics when they were coming out. And I didn't like them better, but I did have a lot of those big Octagon, like those Roland, you know, the old, or the Simmons or whatever it was. I always had a bunch of that stuff, and I was always toying around. You know, this is back when they first came out, so they literally just made like the choom, choom, choom sounds and all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but over the years, I've had to cover like Whitney Houston. I've actually gotten gigs just because I know how to work the electronics.
Yeah.
I did this where in Michigan, I got to back up this, and this was one of the coolest gigs ever. This hip hop artist from LA, her name was Medusa, and a lot of the Wu-Tang Clan guys like Redman, they did a lot of her beats and stuff. So she was set to perform it live, and they hired me in to do the electronic drums behind the actual drummer. And the actual female, there was another female drummer, and she was like Shaka Khan's drummer or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a really cool gig, and they literally hired me in because I had a machine that could make 808s and all these bass drop sounds.
That's
and
great. The
DJ scratching.
More you learn about it, the more gigs come in. And, all kinds
it
of
opened
gigs
it up for me.
Yeah. And there's no limit. I mean, you know, no telling what you may be, you know, chosen to play for.
And you'll love this on my YouTube. There's a video of me busking down the street here in New Loop with my electronic drum set.
Is that
just my little pad. Choom, choom. Yeah, because people were coming over going, how are y'all doing? How are you making them sounds, you know?
People like that. Yeah, they do.
Well, and it's, you know, it's just a little square box, so it's so easy to carry.
You're still busking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but nowadays with like the wireless inputs and stuff like that, if you've got some sort of little soundboard, you know, I love to busk. I think it's hilarious.
I think it's fun too.
Yeah.
I mean, once I start doing it, I got me a generator now, a little generator. I got an amp.
That's my nickname, by the way. They call me the Generator because my name's Jen. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just kind of funny, but go on.
Yeah, but I've got a little generator and a speaker and a little board, you know.
Yeah.
And I sing and play flute and sax along with it.
That's cool.
And it's a nice. I do pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
People look for me, like at the games. I was doing all the games. Papa John Stadium for a while.
Oh, cool.
I get my daughter to help me. Somebody has to watch the equipment while you go park the car. And then I got robbed on Liberty, and which I'm going to be playing the 26th of this month. 26th of this month, and a guy reached in and grabbed my tip money.
Oh no, that's not cool.
No,
yeah,
I got somebody now to watch me. It's terrible how some things, just unnecessary stuff, kind of throw a wrench in your fun, you know.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, but I enjoyed doing that, and I didn't know that you had done the busking thing.
Oh yeah, actually I've busked a few places. I remember going up and busking in Bloomington, you know, Indiana.
It's really fun. It's fun doing that because you meet everybody.
Great. Yeah, you do. And you know, if you've got say more than just one person, I love to play buckets and stuff like. You know, when I was coming up, I was playing pots and pans, and you know, literally you can make a percussion sound off of anything.
Well, yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you can. I did a lot of that down in Key West. I went down there with James Peterson.
Oh, cool.
We stayed up over to Margaritaville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'd go down on the beach and do busking.
Man, I bet that was a fun gig.
It was fun and profitable.
Yeah. I never got to play Key West, but I played Key Largo
on
the beach.
Well, that's just as nice.
Close
once you
enough,
get down there.
Yeah, I got to ride that, what was it called? The African Queen, the boat. That's the famous boat, the Bogart and all that stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah, Key West is a wonderful place.
That actually was one of my most memorable experiences because my mom flew down and came to that gig.
Is that right?
So me and my mom on the beach in Key Largo, taking cruises, you know what I mean? And
it's wonderful down there. Yeah. Expensive, but
but not when you're getting paid to do it.
Well, when you getting paid, you know, we musicians got a little.
We do have a little
input. You know, we don't have to pay for much.
That's right. Yeah. And usually these places, you know, I don't know how they were doing with per diems and all that, but when I was touring, they would. If the club didn't feed you, then they had to pay you 15 or 20 bucks for food.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of those cruise boats do that.
Yeah.
Most of them now, you get a voucher. And these casinos, they give you a voucher, let you gamble a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd always sell them because I don't gamble. I couldn't shoot craps or play cards.
I hear you.
My mom didn't allow that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I guess that's so. I don't down anybody that does, but I
like a slot machine every now and a blue moon, but I'm not one to throw my money away.
No,
I've never been one of those.
No, I haven't either. I don't take a chance on that money like that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But that music business, it'll take you. It'll take you everywhere. Music has taken me everywhere.
Yeah. I just think about how many people you would not know if you didn't play music.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Be almost everybody.
Oh gosh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I ran across a picture the other day. I got this big bag of pictures. I need to put them in frames and stuff for to get all bent up.
Yeah.
And we were on the desert. This guy Chip and I, we were horseback riding, and I was thinking about the normally, I wouldn't go to Texas and go horseback riding. I mean,
yeah. This was in Texas.
Yeah, and I had my own horse. I didn't.
What part of Texas?
Austin.
Austin, cool. The cool part.
Go down there and down on Mexico, down on the river, and riding horses. You know, doing things that you normally would have to pay big money to go to Mexico or go to Texas and go horseback riding and then go to Key West and go scuba diving.
Yeah.
You know, now you add all that up and you're broke.
Yep. Exactly.
You got to come home and work, you know, but you get to do, there's a lot of benefits it has been for me in music and taking me places that I never dreamed I'd ever go.
Man, me too.
And meeting people I never dreamed I'd ever meet. You know, meeting you's fun.
Yeah, meeting you's fun, man. Yeah, and I have to thank, I'm going to give a shout out to Marjorie Marshall. I don't know if she's listening right now, but I just put together this benefit for my friend who had passed called She Castle.
Okay.
And I put together an all-female house band that we named That's What She Said. You'll love that. And we picked 13 to 14 local singers around town of all different musical styles. So I got to meet Marjorie Marshall. She was one of the people on. Probably know Robbie Bartlett was on that.
Yeah. I know Margie. Margie is a real good friend of mine. Well, first of all, she's the music director down at my church, Ebenezer. Yeah. And she'll come over. Well, she has, not lately, but come over. And we'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning singing and
I
jamming.
bet. She is so fun.
She is fun. She's a wonderful woman.
Yes. I had her in on my show, I think, week 2, and I felt like we'd gone to church. I really did. I felt like it was a church
serious
service.
about her.
Yes.
About her inspiration.
Yes, and she inspires me.
Yes.
I really love Marjorie. And anyway, I called her a couple days ago, and she said, I sent you a couple of requests to do your show, you know. And I said, oh, you did? And I said, well, that's good because I need one like pretty soon, like tomorrow. And she said, call Rick. He'll do it.
I'm going to thank her for that. We sit down and we go through. Margie says that her and I could come up with a comedy act or something.
Oh, I bet y'all could. I'd love to see y'all together. She makes me laugh during our rehearsals.
She kills me.
Her and Tanita Gaines together. They need a comedy.
Well. Tanita's very funny too.
Yes, I love playing with both of them.
Yeah, her son is be playing piano for Corey. Yeah. He'll be playing piano for me at the World Festival.
Okay, cool. Tanita's.
Yeah, Tanita's son, Corey.
You know, here's a fun fact. When I first got to Louisville, it was 1999, and Tanita was one of the first people I ever saw play.
Right?
Of course, I'd been playing for a long time, but nobody had a clue who I was here, you know.
Okay.
I somehow ended up at a place watching Tanita play, and I happened to mention to her on break. I went up to meet her, and I said, you know, I'm a female drummer. And she said, you are? And she said, well, get on, you know, some Bonnie Raitt, get on stage. She was the first person to put me on stage in Louisville, Kentucky.
Is that right? She's up front. She hires me. We did the mayor's mansion.
Yeah.
Not the governor's mansion. The thing for him, and she hires me a few times on different gigs. I dated her for a while.
You did? Oh, bounce, chicka, bounce, wow. I love that.
She's another wonderful woman and a good singer.
I agree. But her and Marjorie Marshall, they had to come in and rehearse together, and they were the funniest thing. I laughed
both of them
the
together had to
entire
be a
time.
knockout.
Yeah, and then you add Robbie Bartlett to that mix, and you got a bunch of fun.
Robbie's a real good lady too. She's nice. She can be.
Yeah, I saw her yesterday. I was walking out of here, and I was on the street corner, and Robbie drives by and honks at me. And Yates, how you doing? She goes, I'm going to pick up my little doggy. You know, she's got them little dogs. She loves her little Yorkies. Yeah.
But
I was honored to get to play with all those ladies because they're all pros and great players and singers and, you know, just amazing musicians.
You may as well include yourself. I'm just
thank
you. You're right among. You're in the gang too, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that. I always say I don't have a lot of family here, but the musician
we got somewhat a knitted group together.
Yeah.
I remember that's been maybe last year or year before that. Last year, I think. Marvin Gaye's guitar player William Cochran lived here, and he had COPD. He was sick, and he was about maybe close to 80.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time coming by his house, helping him, getting food, helping him out and stuff like that. And it was a real nice relationship for somebody of his caliber. A heck of a guitar player, and but he deteriorated and he died. But the time I spent
here
with
in
him,
Louisville?
Yeah, he lived right here in Louisville.
Who knew that?
Quiet as it was kept.
Yeah, it was kept quiet. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he lived on 32nd Street. Pretty good friend of mine. They called him Roach.
Huh. Love that. Was there a particular reason for that nickname?
Well, he was kind of little.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to go back to the weed thing.
No.
Roach.
No, not Roach. No, he was little.
Yeah,
little slim,
dude,
real slim.
Like a little jockey man.
Yeah, he used to play with oh God, quite a few national acts that he was with. It's a lot of pictures and stories.
I was going to say, it still surprises me that a lot of people don't even know that Wilson Pickett was from Louisville.
No, a lot of people don't.
I know, and anytime I leave the state, I'm always like, yeah, Louisville, Muhammad Ali, Wilson Pickett.
Yeah,
they're always like, Wilson Pickett.
I remember seeing Muhammad Ali. He lived right down the street from us. I remember seeing him practicing.
Wow.
Running backwards down the street. I saw his brother last week.
Did you? Cool, man.
At the banquet table.
Yeah. I love to go to Cave Hill, and that's one of my favorite things to go to the Muhammad Ali gravesite, and it's just a beautiful gravesite.
But there's so many great people buried there.
Yeah.
That's one heck of a graveyard. Some people that's not interesting, but to me, I think that's interesting. The names that you'll see in Cave Hill Cemetery.
Well, I like,
just
it's
knockout.
To me, Cave Hill is really peaceful.
Yeah, well,
and it's got some beautiful spots in it where you can just sit out by the lake and watch the swans and all that stuff. But of course, I just like to go because I think it's a beautiful place, and I go to get inspiration a lot of times. I know that sounds morbid,
but you'll get it. Some of the names you'll read, and then you get to think each individual has a different story. And you think about this one individual and the kind of life they may have lived.
And I love to look at all the big crosses and the angels and the figures.
It's a beautiful place, like you said.
Yeah. Well, you'll love this if you haven't been since Muhammad Ali's been buried there, because they used to, Colonel Sanders is buried there, of course.
Yeah.
They have a yellow line that if you follow, because you can get lost in that place. It's huge.
I've gotten lost in it before.
Yeah, I hear you. So they've got the yellow line that goes to Colonel Sanders' grave.
Oh, okay.
Now they've added a green one. And the green one will take you straight to Muhammad Ali. So if you get lost, you just follow the green line. It'll take you right to Muhammad Ali.
I didn't know that. That's
I thought that was really cool that they did that for him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and his gravesite is really gorgeous too.
Is it? Maybe one day I'll get a chance. I haven't been there to visit that.
Yeah. Yeah, I go there often just because it's, like I said, it's peaceful to me, and anytime I'm wanting to get inspiration, I go there. Last time I was there, I was chased by a black swan.
Are you kidding?
I had never seen a black swan in all my days. And
they exist.
All of a sudden, this one came out, and she was big. I mean, she was bigger than me.
Oh, really? And coming towards you.
Ruffled her feathers up real big, like she was angry. And I thought, uh-oh. So I got in my car, and she's like over there at the car. Yeah, I was like, dude, I must have made her mad or something.
Yeah, come on out of that car so I can peck you.
Yeah. In fact, she stood in the middle of the road and would not let me leave. Like, she was angry with me.
Just one good bite.
I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that is cool. It sure is.
So, Rick, it's been an honor having you on the show today.
I'm honored to have Margie to mention for you to have me on here.
Absolutely,
you're a great person. It's really lovely meeting you.
Man, lovely meeting you too. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up, but before we do, I want to spin another song off your record here.
Okay.
That you brought in. We've got all kinds of, and I love the names of some of these. What were you telling me? The Thank You Lord one, that's more of a gospel.
It's an old traditional
gospel tune. Yeah. And you've got I love the name Glass Lady. That's
about a girlfriend.
Yeah.
With game, and you can see right through it just like a piece of glass.
Mm-hmm. I've written about a couple glass houses before. Yeah. It's funny, we were talking about what inspires you to write. Heartbreak always does it for me.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it just does. I don't know why. I could sit down and write pages and pages. It just pours out of me when I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, me too.
When I'm happy, I'll sit there all day and be like, nothing. You know, I'm like, I don't know why I cannot write when I'm happy. I'm determined to make that happen.
Well, whatever happens, it'll be a natural thing.
Yeah.
Me finding my significant one out here is going to be a natural thing for me too.
Yeah, I feel you.
I'm not a good shopper at that.
Yeah.
And I plan on, I don't know how long I'll live, but the rest of my years on this earth, and I hope anybody else listening, you want to make them the best years for of a lifetime. I mean, you want the happy, as much happiness
I agree.
as you can get.
Yeah, man. After the past 2 years, I've had a lot of downer stuff happen. So I'm ready for some happy.
Sure
you know what I mean?
Sure you
and
are.
It's starting to happen. It's starting to happen. It
Some
started with this
happiness
show
today.
Yes, it's happening today. Exactly.
Yes.
I'm happy you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do believe in that. You know, I like to wake up happy. I like to go to bed happy. I don't want to be angry. You know, I really don't. I want to find happiness. Yeah.
I do too, and we will.
Yes, yeah. It's hard sometimes, I feel like, for artists because we are, you know.
We're singled out in ways, in a lot of ways. But if people take a good look, we're humans, loving humans just like anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been an honor to have you on our show today. Which song you want to spin off of this one? Saxophone Man.
Show Me That You Love Me Sometimes.
All right, we're gonna do some Show Me That You Love Me Sometimes. Rick, such a pleasure to have you up in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
I wish you all the success and everything that you continue doing in music, and have an awesome gig at World Fest. You'll probably see LRS there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, take care.
All right, man.
You're locked on to LRS Jyneration Nation. Tune in tomorrow as we have Jeff Baxter in the studio. And as always, keep it groovy.